Hi, good morning, everyone. So, this brings us to the session of scheduling tools. So, in for a quick revision, in last lectures we have completed. If you remember, we completed the life cycle of project management, which was initiating, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, closure. We also completed constraints. They are scope, time, cost, which are known as triple constraint. Then you have quality, resource, communication, risk, procurement, stakeholder, and integration. So this is how what we covered, and we covered WBS. If you recall, we completed WBS, which is part of scope. We completed time. We are completing now the schedule, which is part of. We little bit complete a few parts of cost, quality, resource, communication, risk. At a high level, we completed opportunities, positive risk, negative risk, threats. Procurement, we completed a little bit of stakeholder as well, and now we are into integration. So let's start with the scheduling tools. What kind of tools we have? As a project manager, your job is to initiation phase. Majorly, you will not be in the picture, though in an ideal scenario, yes, you should be. You do planning, which is needs assessment, feasibility study, business case, project charter, and stakeholder register. These are the artifacts of initiation phase. Then you have planning phase, which are requirements and documentation, scope statement, WBS, WBS dictionary, and scope baseline. After that comes activity list, network diagram, activity resource requirement, activity duration estimates, project schedule and schedule baseline. And after this comes your project budget, cost baseline, quality planning, resource planning, communication planning, risks are analyzed and risk response plans are developed. And from there, you will do revision of schedule baseline, cost baseline, and a revision to cost baselines. Baseline is your reference, or you can say target, as per your planning. Similarly, you have schedule baseline. This is your target or reference. Then you have scope baseline. Again, it is your reference or target. So in the planning phase, if you are able to hear me correctly, in planning phase, what you are actually doing, you are setting some targets. You are setting some targets, and your job is to meet those targets or meet those reference points. And these reference points in project management language are known as baselines. So this is what you have done in the planning phase. Execution will be done by your team. Your team will do the execution, and after that there's another thing is which is monitoring and controlling. Here the team will do the monitor and control. Your teams are doing the execution part. Your job is to see whether the work has been in progress as per this reference points, as per these baselines. You just track your work done via in comparison with these baselines. That's your main job is. And then after that, the third disclosure. Scheduling tools. One of the scheduling tools we have is Microsoft Projects Primavera. We also have a tool known as Jira for Agile. So majorly for project management, traditional waterfall, we use Primavera and we use Microsoft Projects. Okay, let's discuss what is project phases, milestones, and stage gates. Project phases, milestones, and stage gates. Phases, distinct divisions between the types of work. For instance, there may be a procurement phase, a testing phase, a pilot phase, a full implementation phase. Quite self-explanatory. Then we have milestones, significant success points, several of which may occur within a phase. The milestone is your milestone is something which was you can say an important success point or a significant success point. Let's say in the construction of building, foundation completion is a milestone. So though foundation completion perhaps is taking 7 to 8 months, and in foundation completion there are thousands of activities involved, but the final activity wherein foundation completion is said to be done will be a milestone. Then you have stages, the intervals between project board meetings. The end of a stage is a point where the board can decide to continue with or close the project. So stages are, for example, the project has started. The first stage is initiation phase. In initiation, the first phase is initiation phase, and then in initiation phase you may come up at a stage wherein this they may say that is it worth going ahead with the project with more investments, or shall we stop it. Similarly, this may happen in the planning phase as well, also in the execution phase, because the change control board, or the board of the project, they have done the initiation phase in the first at the first instant. They have done the initiation phase. In initiation phase, their whole job was to understand the needs assessment and feasibility study. Though due diligence has already been done, a detailed study was done to understand the needs assessment and feasibility study, but let's say they somehow realize if in case the need was not captured correctly and they are already in the execution phase, at least they can save some money, or they can reinvent their product, or they can go back to the ideation phase to see if the actual need that they captured at the initiation phase is actually what is being satisfied. Or let's say in the initiation phase there was a need, and while reaching to the execution phase, already 1 or 2 years has already been completed. So has this need is already met by some other product, some alternate product is already there, some competitors have come up with a new product. So if that is the case, they need to reinvent their product going through the ideation phase and initiation phase. If they can within the limited time and cost, they can come up and can meet the needs which are still not being met, then coming up with the same old product which may not be viable in terms of usability and accessibility. Hence we have these stage gates. So these stage gates are integral part of the project, and as a project manager you may be part of these stage gate meetings or may not be, but your senior management, portfolio managers, program managers will definitely be part of these meetings, and they do a reference check whether with the intention, with the goal that they have started this project, will this end product will meet that requirements, or if that need is no more there. So these things need to be rechecked again and again. Phases, milestones, stage gates. If you see, the first one is project conception and initiation phase. You have a project initiation, you have project charter. In project definition and planning, you have scope and budget, work breakdown structure, Gantt chart, communication plan, risk management plan. In the launch or execution, you have status and tracking, KPIs, quality forecast. In project performance and control, you have objective, quality deliverables, effort and cost tracking performance. In project closure phase, you have post-mortem analysis, project punch list, and reporting. You mention all the good practices, or you mention the lessons learned. I'll quickly, just a second. So if you see in this second one, this is phase gate 1, phase gate 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First at the feasibility start, then you have project inception stage, then you have implementation at the start of implementation, and in between you have phase gate 3 during implementation phase, when you are in the mid of implementation and you are putting in whole lot of your time, money and resources, you need to do a double check. And then phase gate 4 when it is completed, and again at the handover phase. So that's how you do a gate check. And this is nothing but milestones. Anything worth achieving, let's say foundation done, structure of the building done, let's say it's a 10-story building, you completed 10-story structure, one second milestone. Then you start implementing you know electrical fittings and what do you call it, water fittings, etc. So these fittings are milestone 3, 4, etc. I hope this point is clear. I'll move ahead with the next slide. Okay, project phases and milestones. Project phases and milestones is a core task when scheduling project is to break down project into key phases. We discussed the work breakdown structure. Whole of your scope is divided into number of smaller chunks of task, and that is known as work breakdown structure. And if you add up all these small pieces of work breakdown structure, it will give you the complete scope. The work breakdown structure has to be, the complete scope has to be divided in such a way that each WBS is quantifiable and manageable. It should not be too small that it becomes a mundane task to just keep a track of those WBS, but it should not be too big that even one WBS is in itself is a project. So a WBS has to be broken down in such a way that it is worth, achievable, trackable, and manageable. Second point is there should not be any repetition of WBS activities, because in that case you will find two people working on the same task. Also, it will give a sense of confusion and ambiguity. So work breakdown structure has to be divided in such a way. Then you have each phase is a sub project in itself, which must be completed before the next phase begins. Yes. Milestones are then established to enable PM to confirm completion of each phase, extremely important. And then some project phases can run concurrently. However, the identification of milestones will enable PM to track progress. Some project phases can run concurrently. However, the identification of milestones will enable PM to track progress. So there may be certain activities which are done in a parallel way. Let's say this is known as crashing. When there are three techniques. One is crashing. One is parallelly doing the activities. So in crashing, what we do, we put more resources into one activity. So let's say a construction of a wall takes 10 days by 5 people. Now I'm putting 10 people in the construction of that wall so that the work can be completed in less time. This is known as crashing. Then you have fast tracking. Fast tracking is a technique wherein if the activity has certain uh, activity A has certain parts. So what I'm doing certain phases in a parallel way. Let's say construction of a building plus cleaning of the building are two tasks. So what I'm doing, I have put few resources just for the just for the finishing, and few resources just for the cleaning, so that both the two activities are being done in one go. So in order to save time, so these are two three ways. So there are a few projects wherein you do run the activities in a concurrent manner. So a project manager can track the completion using milestones. Template for recording milestones: milestone number 1, 2, 3, what this milestone is about, is it mandatory or optional, date of completion, and verification. Then we have stage gates. Before moving on to the next stage, is the project on time, on budget, and delivering what it promised to deliver in the current stage, and governance. Then you have our risks and issues being identified and managed. Is there a plan in the next place for the next stage? So stage gates, as I briefed earlier, it is about whether it is worth doing the project. You Few projects are too long, and in between you need to keep a check whether with the intention or with the requirement that you initiated the project with, are those requirements still there? Is there a need? Is that need is still there? So in that case, stage gates will help you recheck the intention or the goal, the motto with which you have started the project. Is the project on time, which is schedule, on budget, which is cost, and delivering what it promised to deliver in the current stage? And then governance. Stage gates: conclusion of each phase is generally marked by a review of both the deliverables and project performance to determine if the project is progressed further or stopped, detect and correct errors effectively, and such reviews are often called phase exits, stage gates, or kill points. If you realize that the intention, the goal that you have started with, that goal is already met by some other product, or the market is not that big, or you will not be able to realize benefits, in that case either you reinvent your project with a new with a change in the product deliverables, or completely stop the project because you have already invested a lot and there is a lot more investments pending. So at least you can save what is being left to invest. So this is an important concept. You see, project stages: proof of concept review, then you have planning, design and build, test and refine, go live, implement, and handover, project closure. So design and build can be two separate stages depending on the nature and size of the project. Test and refine may be minimal or a key stage, again depending on the nature and size of the project. So you see, these are stage gates. First, you are doing a stage gate at the proof of concept review, the needs assessment. Then you are doing one at the planning. Then you are doing one at the design and build. Then test and refine, go live, etc. Stage gate model in product development. There are 5 stages: scoping, build business case, development, testing and validation, and then launch. And then gates are quality of execution, deliverables, must meet, should meet, business case, go, kill, hold, recycle. Go, the business case is still valid, you simply go ahead with it. The business case is not viable now, when we started the project, yes, it was. Now it is not worth doing. You kill it. You hold it if you think that the need will come up again after some time. So you hold it. For example, during pandemic, most of the projects uh, was on hold status because the finances, the requirements, everything was jeopardized. And then recycle is a stage wherein you go back to the product stage and you reinvent to come up with the new needs and new demands. That is when you recycle your product. I hope this point is clear. You see, this is a stage gate model. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. You kill it, then again you redo and you kill it, and then again you redo and you kill it. This is a concept bank, 50% market success. So you see many projects at the start, many of the projects got killed itself at the project conception phase. Then after doing the feasibility study, 25 to 20% of case projects are they the senior management realize that whatever they are going to do is not financially viable. They stop it. So these are stage gates. So normally it's a 50% success rate towards completion and killing of a project, and this data may vary and this data may be dependent upon industry to industry, but the concept is that every time when you are doing a project, you as a project manager, your job is to really looking back at the documents which were needs assessment, feasibility study, business case, project charter, stakeholder register high level, and risk register high level. These are the artifacts of initiation phase. Your job is to see whether with the need that we started the project is still there or not, because it may so happen that you deliver the project on within scope, within time, within cost, but but the need was not captured correctly. So even if you deliver the project on time, within budget, and within the scope, your organization will not move ahead. Examples: the Coke, uh, the new Coke thing that we discussed as a case study. Second case study is BlackBerry cell phones, and third case study is Nokia phones. So these 3 4 case studies, you know, you can refer back. Gantt charts. Gantt chart is a tool wherein you develop a schedule. You develop a schedule for the project based on the scope. It's a graphical tool for visualizing all tasks and activities in a classic project. It is in use for decades and it played a key role in the famous Hoover Dam construction project. The Gantt chart is named after American engineer and management consultant Henry L. Gantt. It is used to provide a visual picture of US Hoover Dam project so everyone involved could see when the individual construction phases were scheduled to take place. Now, today, a cast bronze version of the original Gantt chart can still be seen at the Hoover Dam. Let's look at this. This is how it looks like, the original Gantt chart prepared by used in the famous Hoover Dam. If you, I'll maximize it. If no, just a second. So if you see, you have system design, then a few other artifacts. So that's how Gantt chart looks like in terms of, this is a schedule in terms of years. These are years on horizontal axis. Okay, Gantt charts. Diagram displaying resource schedule. Activities listed vertically with time scale horizontally. Linked to WBS and basis for network diagrams. Simple and complex Gantt chart, trade-off between information and loss of understanding is there. This is how a normal Gantt chart looks like. You have section 1, subtask 1, subtask 2, subtask 3. You start at 2016, week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you have section 2. These are milestones shown in the triangles or hexagonals, diamond shape, and these are other milestones. There are different ways to create a Gantt chart. Benefits of Gantt charts: useful for project overview, baseline against which to measure progress. So baselines, as we discussed, baselines as a project manager, you prepare a baseline at the planning phase. Execution phase, your team will do the work, they will execute, and your job would be to monitor and control as per the planning done. So your reference point would be these baselines. For an example, if your body temperature is beyond 98.6 degrees Celsius, it is considered fever. If it is less, it is considered as cold or low BP, etc. So this 98.6 temperature is your reference point. That's what baseline thing is. Baseline is what you have planned, the reference. Let's say for a project, just a second. Let's say for a project, the baselines in terms of cost for a project is 100,000 US dollars. Then time is, let's say, 5 years, and then you have a scope. These are your baselines. So execution will be done by a team, and in monitoring and controlling, what you have to do is to track whether the cost is being met in this way or not. The time, let's say 5 years are further divided into, in 1 year some level of scope, in second year another level scope, in third year you have further level scope, and then fourth and fifth. So your job is to here see whether the kind of scope which was defined in third year has been done or not. So you will do a check or a track. I'll explain this concept again. Initiation is done, planning. You are planning everything on a tool based on scope, time, cost, etc. Execution will be done by some other team members. Your job is mainly monitoring and controlling. The reference point is the reference based on which you will say that the project is on time, within budget, and within the defined scope. This reference point is done here at the planning stage. This is what I'm trying to say. I hope this concept is clear. So benefits of Gantt charts: that you have a visual representation, you can see how much work is done, how much work is left, are you on track or not on track. If it is not on track, it will be red. If it is on track, it will be green. So you can prepare something or a tool and you can share it with your senior stakeholders, or outside or external stakeholders. So this is the benefit of Gantt chart, that it is visually very appealing and you can see everything in terms of pictures. Then you have Gantt charts, example Gantt chart showing key dependencies in a recruitment process. Let's say one of the activity or task is agree job and person's specification. Activity 2 is personal manager to define job grade. Then third is prepare advertisement, publish advertisement on website, receive inquiries and send further information, closing date for applications, agree composition of interview panel, booking of interview room, etc. Then you have durations, and it is planned from week 1 through week 6. And if you see, this is your major milestone in a diamond shape, and this is closing date for applications. So closing date for application is a milestone for them, which is falling under week 4. Okay, I'll move ahead with the next slide. And this is an example of a simple Gantt chart, some prepared by someone in Excel. If you see, decide on the total quality management kickstart, month of May, steering group chosen, month of May and June, start staff climate survey through June and July, steering group trained on July, visit to other companies from July through October, and then staff climate survey complete in October month, and then you have train other managers in October, November, etc. So this is a simple Gantt chart. This is an example of a complex Gantt chart. You can see so many activities on y-axis, and in x-axis you have a pictorial representation of timelines and schedules. Rules for creating Gantt charts, link to WBS. Task number and description listed vertically, show links between tasks, arrows. Timeline listed horizontally, consistent timelines, week, days, etc. Show start, use symbols. Show finish, use symbols. Identify milestones, you can use symbols as well. And more sophisticated Gantt chart can also show responsibility, completion, critical path, etc. So these are rules for creating Gantt charts. Gantt chart tips: ensure you consider all possible stages. Make stage description meaningful. Include a separate line for each activity, like here, if you see, in this case, each line of activity has separately mentioned. And I think this I explained in WBS as well. In WBS, you have to break down whole of your scope into number of activities. Those number of activities should be trackable and manageable and doable. And if you add up all those WBS activities, it will actually give you the complete scope. Include a separate line for each activity is what they say, which we explained. Give each activity a line number. Automatically Microsoft Project tool will give it. Keep your timeline unit the same throughout. Yes. Clearly show start and end timelines, and then it will create a Gantt chart, something like this. If I get time, I'll do a small video for how to create basic, how to use basic functionalities in Microsoft projects. So this we can do. And then comes critical path analysis. So I'll stop the discussion now, because critical path analysis will take is a separate thing, and we create a network diagram, and we create forward pass and backward pass. So I'll cover that separately. Otherwise, will be too long a video. All right, that's it from my end. I hope you have enjoyed the session. If you have any feedback, please keep me posted on my email. Thank you and have a nice day.